us Lissa Price. She's the author of the futuristic thriller novel Starters. Thanks for joining us this morning, Lissa.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I know that in your book, a biological warfare supposedly devastated Earth, and most of the people who are left are either the young and the old. Now, can you tell us about this whole storyline?
Yes, of course. Well, in Starters, it's set in a futuristic Los Angeles where desperate teens are renting out their bodies to seniors so they can enjoy being young again temporarily.
Okay.
One senior plans to do more than party and do sports with the body. She plans to use it to murder someone.
Oh, okay. So that's where the plot thickens.
Yes,
as you say.
exactly.
And, in the first few pages of the book, you bring forth the whole setting of the story, which is basically in a dangerous world and that these characters live in. Can you describe to us what that world is?
Actually, right before the book starts was an incident called the Spore Wars. And these were deadly spores that were unleashed in missiles across America. And what happened was people who had the vaccine survived this. But if you didn't have the vaccine, you didn't. And because the vaccine was in shortage, they only gave it to the very young and the very old, the most vulnerable members of society. And so what I call the middles, or the parents, are the ones then that didn't have the vaccine and they died. Okay. So that's how you get this world of young people and elderly.
Okay, and in your book, the main character, her name is Kelly,
Yes.
and she decided to, because she had to rent her body out to one of the elderly. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so poor Callie, if you had grandparents, you could go live with them after this war. But if you didn't have them, you had to be put into institutions, which was a horrible thing. It was like a workhouse. And she's got a younger brother who's sick, and she wants to protect him. So against her better wishes, she goes into prime destinations, a place where she can rent out her body for a lot of money to a senior. And of course, like everything, it goes well the first time. She goes to sleep, wakes up, everything's fine. Second time goes fine, and the third time is wrong, and she wakes up in the life of a rich renter living in a mansion.
What do you think draws your readers to this book, Starters?
Well, they tell me that they really like the fact that it is a page turner. It has a very fast pace, that they feel like they're in Callie's skin, that they're going through the story. They either identify with her or the teenage boy that's in my book called Blake. And the other thing is the big twists and surprises. They love those.
How did you come up with the idea of this kind of future for mankind?
So there's a store called Costco, the big, ugly membership store with no carpeting and gray walls.
Oh, okay.
You know it?
Costco, okay.
And so they have a pharmacy, and they were giving out flu shots, or you had to buy a flu shot,
Right.
Some years ago. And I went to get one and stood in long lines before we found out that there was a triage system because there wasn't enough vaccine to go around for everybody. So only the very young and the very old could get the vaccine. And I'm standing there thinking, where's the logic in this? Because if only the very young and the very old get the vaccine and it's a killer disease, then those are the people that would survive. Right. And how would they manage the world? Because they are vulnerable. And then I thought, that's a great idea for a book.
Now, according to LA Times, Starters is the most worthy successor to The Hunger Games. So, that's a pretty big feat. How do you feel about that?
I was very flattered by that review. It's a difficult thing because you don't want fans to think this is an imitation of the Hunger Games because it's not.
Yes.
It's not at all. And I have a totally different kind of story, but I certainly admired Suzanne Collins' writing, so I take it as a total compliment.
Okay, great. Now, I know that you've had many adventures in your personal life, and you've traveled around the world doing all sorts of exciting things as well. Now, did this help you in your writing?
Absolutely. I spent 2 years one time going completely around the globe. Never going home, just going in one direction. And the kinds of things you learn when you're in a foreign country, you have to be aware of everything, the way that you're not when you're at home, right? You're absorbing, you're watching, you're learning about people, about characters. And so I took a lot of that into my writing, and it's been really valuable.
And that was Lissa Price joining us this morning. She's the author of the futuristic thriller novel Starters and its sequel Enders.